Number 10, FBI racially profiling black identity extremists. At the same time that white supremacists were preparing for the Unite the Right demonstration in Charlottesville, which resulted in the murder of Heather Heyer in August 2017, the FBI's Counterterrorism Division produced an intelligence assessment warning of a very different threat, though actually non-existent threat. Quote, black identity extremists. The report appeared to be the first time the term had been used to identify a movement, according to Foreign Policy magazine, which broke the story. Quote, but former government officials and legal experts said no such movement exists, and some expressed concern that the term is part of a politically motivated effort to find an equivalent threat to white supremacists, close quote, Foreign Policy reported. Quote, the use of terms like black identity extremists is part of a long-standing FBI attempt to define a movement where none exists, close quote, said former FBI agent Mike German, who now works for the Brennan Center for Justice. Quote, basically, it's black people who scare them. It's classic Hoover-style labeling, with a little bit of maliciousness and euphemism wrapped up together. That's a quote from William Maxwell, a Washington University professor working on a book about FBI monitoring of black writers. Quote, the language, black identity extremist, strikes me as weird and really a continuation of the worst of Hoover's past. Close quote. Open quote. There is a long tradition of the FBI targeting black activists, and this is not surprising, close quote. Black Lives Matter activist DeRay McKesson told Foreign Policy. A former Homeland Security official told them that carelessly connecting unrelated groups will make it harder for law enforcement to identify real threats. It's so convoluted, it's compromising officer safety, the former official said. Quote, the corporate media covered the FBI report on black identity extremists in narrow or misleading ways, close quote, Project Censored noted, citing examples from the New York Times, Fox News, and NBC News. Quote, coverage like this both draws focus away from the active white supremacist movement and feeds the hate and fear on which such a movement thrives. So the children of COINTELPRO, the grandchildren, is it now, or the children of COINTELPRO, number 10. Number 9, indigenous communities around the world helping to win legal rights of nature. In March of 2017, the government of New England, try that again, number 9, indigenous communities around the world helping to win legal rights of nature. In March 2017, the government of New Zealand ended a 140-year dispute with an indigenous Maori tribe by enacting a law that officially recognized the Wanganui River, which the tribe considers their ancestor, as a living entity with rights. The Guardian reported it is a world first, although the surrounding Te Urewara National Park had been similarly recognized in a 2014 law, and the U.S. Supreme Court came within one vote of potentially recognizing such a right in the 1972 case, Sierra Club versus Morton, expressed in a dissent by Justice William O. Douglas. In addition, the broader idea of, quote, rights of nature has been adopted in Ecuador, Bolivia, and by some American communities, noted Minea Tanasescu, writing for The Conversation. The tribe's perspective was explained to The Guardian by its lead negotiator, Gerard Albert. Quote, we consider the river an ancestor, and always have, Albert said. We have fought to find an approximation in law so that all others can understand that from our perspective, treating the river as a living entity is the correct way to approach it, as an indivisible whole, instead of the traditional model for the last 100 years of treating it from a perspective of ownership and management, close quote. But that could be just the beginning, open quote. It is a critical precedent for acknowledging the rights of nature in legal systems around the world, close quote. Kayla DeVault reported for Yes magazine. Others are advancing this perspective. DeVault wrote, quote, in response to the Standing Rock Sioux battle against the Dakota Access Pipeline, the Ho-Chunk Nation of Wisconsin amended its constitution to include the rights of nature. This is the first time a North American tribe has used a Western legal framework to adopt such laws. Some American municipalities have protected their watersheds against fracking by invoking rights of nature, close quote. Open quote. If the New Zealand Wanganui River settlement was able to correct the gap in Western and indigenous paradigms in New Zealand, surely a similar effort to protect the Missouri River could be produced for the Standing Rock and Cheyenne River nations by the American government, close quote, DeVault wrote. The same could be done with a wide range of other environmental justice disputes involving Native American tribes. Tănăsescu described the broader sweep of recent developments in the rights of nature, noting that significant problems have resulted from the lack of specific guardianship provisions, which are integral to the Wanganui River Law. Quote, by granting natural entities personhood, quote, by granting natural entities personhood one by one and assigning them specific guardians over time, New Zealand could drastically change an ossified legal system that still sees oceans, mountains, and forests primarily as property, guaranteeing nature its day in court, close quote, Tănăsescu concluded. Open quote, a few corporate media outlets have covered the New Zealand case and subsequent decisions in India, close quote, Project Censored noted. However, these reports have not provided the depth of coverage found in the independent press or addressed how legal decisions in other countries might provide models for the United States, close quote. So how about we do 2 a day? That's good. Today is Monday. We did 10 and 9, and we'll pick up 8 and 7 tomorrow. You are watching the Anticlimactic Nod Show with your host,